What's going on, Gemini? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. So for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just amazing, Gemini, especially on your birthday season, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Because guess what, Gemini? It's your general energy weekly spread. I'm going to change that melody up too. I'm sitting with that. A couple things, Gemini. Well, just like literally one thing. If you can't tell, I'm in the middle of a move right now. So this is like my halfway space here right now. Like this is gonna be the space for at least like maybe another week before I'm fully settled in. So just a little bit of the inside story on my adventure there, Gemini. But back to you. with this reading or with this video, whenever you happen to come across this, there may be some messages in here for you. And just so you're all aware. Excuse me, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. There's great energy all around here, Gemini. So what I'm going to be doing, Gemini, is pulling a few oracle cards from this deck here, and then we'll get some tarot to get some details on the mix. But before we jump into this thing, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? And in case if y'all were curious, the decks that I'm working with, I've included links for them down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you are interested, Gemini. Interesting. A lot of reflection going around here, I see. You got the fourth card of Cancers here, which is the Mirror card. And with this card, this is a card of self-aware, seeing clearly, ego, facing issues, self-assessment, self-improvement, insecure, make comparisons, reflection, obsessed, narcissistic, vain, self-love, and self-appreciation. And Gemini, when this card pops up, especially considering that, the sun's just entered your sign not too long ago, and then you're going to be having your ruler Mercury that's going to be entering on the 11th of June. This is a great time to be thinking about where you're at in life. Do you like the image that you see? Go to, I was talking with this, with Aries, and actually it was a friend that had brought this up to me, but, something to maybe do if we have maybe some, if we've been wanting to improve, but we're not sure what areas that where to start. A good thing might be to do, look in the mirrors, see how you feel about yourself. What are some things, and set aside some stuff too. If we're going to be focusing on the areas that you do, that need improvement, just make sure to balance it out with some areas that you do feeling good too. We want to keep that balance, but that's a great energy for you to really feel, or be with how you feel about yourself, and be kind to, and show yourself that compassion, because if we want to be in a place to express unconditional love, it has to start here, and that's loving every part of yourself, Gemini. Because when you think about Cancerian energy, my sun sign's in Cancer, we feel so much all the time, and it can be easy to only want to be in the good feelings and then reject the bad feelings, but they all make that same whole, like that whole piece that is you. And you being a sign of duality, that's a tricky place to be, because sometimes it's like you got one energy that's coming through, and then in a snap, maybe one might retreat, and then you got a next thing coming out. It's like that shift. Got a Gemini moon, so I understand that, but it's getting eyes on every aspect of you, Gemini, and then embracing that wholly, and we really are, considering too that your ruler is going to be retrograding in all the earth signs this year. Like the energy for me is going to be very much, I feel like a time of self-improvement, absolutely self-love, and to really appreciate what you've contributed to this journey so far and contribute to society, and what more do you want to bring. But absolutely, and you know what? Thinking about the making comparisons too, because sometimes we can think that, if we get to a certain place in our lives, we may want to be further along, and then we see how others might be doing that, might be succeeding in maybe the areas that we want to be. But you know, Gemini, everyone's journey is different. And here's the thing, it might feel like it's a little more work for you. Just an example, if that's something that's resonating with you, probably because you got something real big that's coming, you know, like it's like I like been saying, because the Empress has been kind of flowing around a little bit, which I've been very much enjoying. But when we have Empress dreams, you know, that's in Empress goals, that comes with Empress work, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. But let's get some tarot on this. Okay, let's see what we got here, Gemini. Interesting. Okay, so you got the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and then the Two of Swords in reverse here, but then we have the Eight of Wands upright. And so, you know, Gemini, I feel like that maybe for some of us, you know, if there are certain issues that we may be having trouble facing, I feel like that it's, what I'm honestly getting with this is that, you know, when we get into the Eight of Wands energy, that can be very fast energy, you know, kind of wanting to move through stuff, you know, just kind of power through things. This is Mercury in Sagittarius. But when you think about that, Mercury in Sagittarius, you know, we got to consider it's, you know, sometimes we can think about, or how do I want to put this? That energy can get to, or this energy, you know, because Sagittarius and Mercury energy can be very quick. And I feel like when we come to this, you know, when we get to areas of like self-improvement and assessing and facing issues, we want to make sure that we're not trying to force this thing along. You know, it's because I feel like that sometimes when we go to face these ourselves in the mirror, or, you know, just our face, do that introspective work, when you do kind of get eyes on those more maybe kind of darker corners, that can get to a place where we don't want to face that stuff. You know, we don't want to put the energy towards it, and we don't, you know, it's because it doesn't feel good. But here's the thing, when we get to that stuff, once we feel it, then we can heal it. You know what I mean? Then the abundance comes through. But if we get to facing some of this stuff, and then where I understand if it's too much to take on at once, you know, take it in chunks, however it makes sense. If we need to even shelve it and come back to it later, absolutely understand. But know that there is little nuggets big nuggets, really, of growth that come when we face whatever insecurities or anything that we might be dealing with head on. And I tell you what, then the growth starts happening at an impressive rate. Then the healing can start. But it's making that decision to face that, whatever this is that we might be struggling with. But it's a tricky kind of balance here, Gemini, you know. But it's something that when we put that, once that energy gets moving, and, you know, we really start start making some progress, it starts to lighten the load in the long run. And I feel that it's one of those things, you know, being an air sign where, you know, we may not want to deal with the feelings all the time. You know, it can get in the way of the logic, but the feelings all, if we didn't need the water energy, it wouldn't be a part of the elements. But, you know, water is just as important as the fire to get things going, the air to get us thinking, and the pentacles to get all that stuff grounded. So, you know, that's all we're just trying to, it's a lot, but it's absolutely worth it in the long run. And again, just remember, showing yourself that love, you know, with whatever you see, love it with all your heart, because that's how the closure, I feel like, starts, and the healing really can kind of settle in. So that's something to think about there, Gemini. I like that. Good start. And I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that reading that you had for your solar return, that was talk about some introspective work. Absolutely. And this is all a part of it, you know, that healing and facing those dark corners that you know, that been ignored, and you know that might have been festering up until now. So let's get another oracle on the mix. All right, we got the fourth card of Aquarius here, which is the Corset card. And with this card, this is a card of held together, boundaries, restrictions, prim and proper, following rules, structured, buttoned up, perfect posture, holding it together, support, shapeshift, and people pleaser. And so with this, Gemini, you know, I do feel like for some of you, you know, especially if we've been in this place of like self-reflections and things, you know, sometimes feeling all that stuff, it can be a lot. And I feel like if we've been maybe trying to hold it together, you know, maybe if it's been kind of like maybe powering through, like, you know, maybe just showing the work and putting on that face, or, you know, just like really just sort of like not dealing with it. I just feel like we want to be careful with that. Just because, again, you know, if we don't deal with these issues and we ignore that stuff, I feel like higher self usually tries to keep internal matters, you know, the healing, you know, in-house. But if we ignore that stuff, that's how the buttons on the corset start to pop, and then, you know, then you know, the tower moment gets a little more noticeable. So, or it becomes more external, and that's not to get you scared or anything, but to just get you thinking about this stuff that we might be ignoring, because we really are in a time of doing that internal work. You know, Saturn is being in Pisces, that's squared your sign right now. And there might be situations where the universe is going to, because Saturn's, you know, Saturn can be a little aggressive when he's asking for anything in general, but asking for growth, like, oof. But but again, there's abundance that's going to be brought from that. But when you think about square situations, you know, we can try to hold things together as much as we think we can, but, you know, it matters. The universe can be tricky sometimes in how it throws curveballs. So just a little something to think about. But I'm also kind of getting with this, you know, when I think about the Corset card, if any of you have been, I feel like more so been kind of feeling insecure, or have been kind of feeling like you've been feeling constricted as far as your expression, as far as like, because when you think of the Ace of Wands, that's like, you know, that's some big energy that's coming through, and that gives me, you know, when we think of fire energy, you know, that's getting the areas of like inspiration and creativity. I feel like if we've been feeling like maybe a situation has been keeping us restricted, or, you know, we've had to keep just like, I mean, you know, it's almost like you had to kind of keep things together, just, you know, had to kind of maybe put your things on the back burner to be like the support, or to keep things holding together. I just feel like that is just making sure to make a little time for you as well, you know, to be a little selfish in this aspect, to show yourself some self-love every now and again, because, you know, Aquarius energy, they can be all about, they're about the collective, you know, humanitarianism, and even Cancerian energy, very much about nurturing, very giving to others, be willing to just pour their hearts out, but then put their stuff on the back burner. So I just feel like for some others, just be mindful of, again, finding that balance of, you know, taking care of others, because, you know, I'm all about that, but we don't want to do it to our detriment, you know, where it's affecting our energy and starting getting, you know, affecting our abundance. So, well, let's get some tarot on this. Interesting. Okay, so, and I like that. So you got the Knight of Swords and the Moon in reverse here, but then we have we got the Eight of Wands on the floor, and then we have the Emperor upright. And so, you know, really with this energy, I do feel like what I was talking about for some of you, if we've been feeling like maybe a little restricted, maybe even been feeling insecure about presenting something, or like going for an opportunity, or I don't know, maybe even like trying for a new, this could even be maybe like even trying for like a new career shift, you know, whatever that's looking like. I feel like this is the, come on, with the Emperor popping up, absolutely. Take charge and take action. See, be bold, be curious, you know, because sometimes when we think about taking that turn or, you know, going that thing for a try, we can think of all of the fears first and let those deter us, but not have that balance of like, okay, yes, you know, there are these risks that are coming with this, but what are going to be the rewards? You know, what are going to be, what Ace of Pentacles and growth are going to come from that if I take this chance as well. But just something, and you know, because when you think about the moon, you know, just the moon can be considered the scariest card of the major arcana, but sometimes it's, you got to go through that dark work to get to, because after the moon is the sun, Gemini. And yeah, I feel that there's something that, let that, it's, yeah, just if we've been having something that just been kind of tucked away, absolutely, just sort of like let that shine and let that be seen, and know that, yeah, there's gonna be some work on this thing, but it's gonna be worth it. But I also kind of feel with this, Gemini, just again kind of with the reflection aspect of it, I feel like with the Knight of Swords being in reverse, there is an emphasis on just making sure that we're not rushing through this progress, you know, like that we're really taking the time and seeing, you know, paying attention to making sure, like, is there any sort of residual feelings that we may have in this, whatever it is that we might be reflecting on, or is there still, I hope that is making sense. It's like there's something about it, making sure not to just like power through with this energy, or, you know, just make sure we're really getting all of the wisdom that we can out of a situation, and just kind of sit with I'm trying to pull it out here, Gemini, but I'm not quite sure. More, let's get some more on this. Okay, so you have the Eight of Cups upright here, and then we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. And so if there's something here that we need to let go, Gemini, whether this be like a criticism from someone, or maybe it's a criticism of ourselves, I feel like there's because speaking of Saturn and Pisces, the Eight of Cups is Saturn and Pisces. So there's something here about, really, if there's something that we've been needing to let go, or there's like a getting eyes on something to see, like if there's anything that has been maybe dragging our energy down, or been keeping us to where we feel like we're not reaching our fullest potential. Yeah, just slowing down and making sure that we're observing that, and really getting a game plan on what those next steps look like, you know, and I think I'm going to get a little bit more on this Knight of Swords here, Gemini. Hold on one second. There's... Okay. So the so the Knight of Wands, or excuse me, Knight of Swords is clarified by the Judgment and the Nine of Cups. And so I will say, Gemini, I feel like what this energy is indicating is, especially to thinking about, you know, you being an air sign, just be mindful of where your thoughts are at, you know, what kind of energy that you're attracting to yourself while you're in this state of reflection. Because what happens is the Nine of Cups is like, it's being in the energy that we want to attract. And if we're attracting these, if we're noticing that we're kind of been in like a low vibration, or just been maybe operating from just like from not a normal place, maybe from a place of avoidance, of fear, maybe ego, whatever that's looking like, you know. But I just feel like it's, you know, if we get eyes on something, we've noticed that an energy has been not something we've been wanting to attract. How do we change that? How do we, because there's something to think about too, Gemini. Speaking of Pluto, the Judgment card is Pluto. Your sign is probably going to be in for some interesting changes here. Because I tell you what, just looking at the chart, I was just checking out my chart not too long ago. Pluto's going to work, and Pluto's going to be forming trines with your Gemini placements, and Pluto deals with big changes. This is like, it's like take the Death card and crank it up. Like it's because, you know, Pluto rules Scorpio, and yeah, this is going to be where trines are very fortunate, very easy energies. Sometimes how that translates, it can be very easy, but it can be very shocking as well. So it's just something just to be thinking about, I feel like, in these reflective states, you know, just, and that's going to be over the next, you know, couple decades, but just be mindful. There's going to be a lot of shifts that are happening. So just, if anything, there are things that are holding us back, you know, let's be aware of our energies and what's dragging us down. Where we at? More? Okay. All right, Gemini, let's get your last cards here. Interesting. Okay, so you got the third card of Pisces here, which is the roundabout card. And with this card, this is a card of community, connections, new directions, keep it moving, controls the flow of information, solutions, circular reasoning, fluid, many working parts, perfect timing, and redirect. And so, you know, Gemini, just on with that community aspect, you know, with where all the, especially where the sun, your ruler is going to be here soon, and honestly with where Leo's at too. This is a great energy for, you know, doing some stuff, you know, building a community, you know, maybe doing some, getting involved in maybe some groups around your town or neighborhood, or how that's maybe looking, or maybe even starting up something in your own block or whatever, you know, if you want to be like just do, I don't know, maybe like a neighborhood cleanup, or maybe like a beach cleanup. I have fun, Gemini, but we are in a very kind of social energy right now, and I mean, we're going to be, that's only going to be improving or increasing, I feel like, as we get into the next year for sure. But, you know, we're in a time of definitely making connections, whether that be something casual to do, just like general hobbies, interests in things, or if we want to do some kind of like co-creations, collaborations, you know, business stuff, side hustles, whatever. But, you know, be thinking about that, you know, take some time and reflect, you know, sit with, like, are there some areas that you've been wanting to shine, you know, let that reflection shine through. But I'm also kind of getting with this, if we've been, because sometimes I feel, especially when you think about Cancerian energy, Cancer is rooted in they're associated with the fourth house, and that deals with, you know, families, ancestry, you know, roots and things along those lines, the past, and the moon dealing with that as well. And if we find ourselves that we've been maybe kind of been stuck in a roundabout situation where things have just been kind of the same old, like, you know, kind of thing, this energy is just like, how do we change that narrative? You know, how do we get on to the next cycle? Because after the Judgment card is the World, but it's like, in order to get out of these roundabouts, it's like, what changes need to be done? You know, do we need to take a second and kind of pause in this and really kind of reflect? You know, or is it something that we're choosing to not face? You know, it's a tricky thing when you get into those kind of little spirals there. But let's get some tarot on this. Get some details. I'm with it. It's because you got the Nine of Swords more. All right, last little bit, Gemini. I got the Nine of Swords in reverse. We got the Temperance, and then we have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. And let's go ahead and switch back over. Because with this last little bit here, Gemini, it's doing just this. You know, if we've been for those, if we've been kind of going in like a circular motion, it's getting out of your head. It's because this is Mars in Gemini, and I find that when I bring that up, it's like when we get caught in a certain narrative, it's just like if we've been telling ourselves the same thing, it's just like, okay, how do we switch that up? You know, like how can we, what new thought can we use to counter that? You know, like match a sword with the sword, you know, and whatever it is that's keeping us stuck. Because it's one thing to have eyes on this, Gemini, you know, knowing these things, but if we don't incorporate this into like our day-to-day, you know, really put in that, like that self-reflection, that growth and things, put in that Three of Pentacles, put in the work in there, then it's all it is just knowledge, you know. It doesn't become the wisdom, and that's what Temperance is, you know. This is because, you know, that's Sagittarius energy, and they're all about higher learning, expansion. They're your opposite sign, and we can learn a lot from our opposite sign. And it's not that you're not wise, is that Sagittarius, Gemini energy can process the details really fast, whereas Sagittarius sees the bigger picture. You know, they see that, and it's like that's where they can learn. Sagittarius can pick up the details. It's you seeing the broader scale of things, you know, in the grand scheme, how this is going to work out in the long run. But it's just noticing those energies when things do feel harmonious. What can we do to change that? Because the Three of Pentacles, this is Mars in Capricorn, and that's a hard working placement. And when we're getting to areas of self-reflections, restrictions and things, that's hard work, even getting out of this stuff. But again, it's rewarding work, and it's going to pay off in the long run. So yeah, just little something to sit with there, Gemini. But I think I'm gonna leave that there. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Got a little very interesting reading there. But yours is there's something cooking up in that Gemini energy. So I'm with it 100%. But give that a thumbs up, and if anything resonated, and share this. You know, if you know someone who might be, you know, been trying to maybe keep it together, kind of keeping a tough face, or maybe, you know, noticing maybe could use a little more self-love, or maybe been kind of stuck in a situation there. And then subscribe, hit that bell button, you get notified when I release videos each week. And then something maybe might help while you're doing all this reflection. I've been on this meditation app, Insight Timer, for a number of years, and I started a group on there called Zodiacs Raising the Vibration. And it's just a group to drop like encouraging affirmations, positive messages, you know, even maybe talk about your tales of reflection, you know, maybe talk about because that's something I've actually been thinking about adding to the group, like including little stories. Like I'm just trying to figure out how that even looks like. So stay tuned for that, Gemini. But definitely as the group grows, Gemini, want to start doing different meditations, like, you know, maybe I don't know, rising up with the Emperor, or, you know, finding balance with Temperance, or well, I guess that would be more like the Justice card, since that's like Libra. See, we're still, come on, homie. But all that information's in the description box. And then lastly, if you have any cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, wherever, come on over to my other channel, The Chariot and Friends. I do videos Monday through Friday there. We discuss lunar shenanigans. It's a good old time. And all that housekeeping down in the description box below. But let me get your surprise cards here so I can get you out of here. I love it. We had the Strength card in reverse, and that's fine, because that's exactly what we're working on. When we're doing that self-reflection, it's all about finding that confidence, that strength. And when we do, that's going to build up your vitality. Oh, nice. Didn't have to shove that hard. Nice. It's going to affect your vitality. It's going to affect your vision, you know, how you perceive things. You got the Vision card in reverse here. And if we've been in a situation where it's, yeah, really, if they're just like something that we've been, maybe that's been just kind of been just on repeat, or if there's been something that's been restricting you, or, you know, let's get eyes on that thing, and let's figure out how we can change this vision, change maybe this narrative that might be going on here, and rise up and, you know, get back stable, feeling in that Emperor energy, feeling confident and confident and abundant. So I like that, Gemini. I think I'm gonna leave that there. So you stay safe out there, all this reflection and stuff. And just raise your vibration through the roof, you know, because it can be, We're in a very reflective time, but it's going to be a very transformative one as well. Like we're all ascending here, Gemini. It's going to be brilliant. And I will catch you on the next one later.